We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Inflation still hovering at record highs. Illinois sides with its criminals. Faulty polling numbers give Democrats hope. And more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Inflation rose more than expected in August, worsening the cost woes for U.S. households as the Federal Reserve readies to decide on another interest rate hike next week. The data calls into question whether inflation has peaked. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, rose 8.3% over the past year in August. Inflation was slowed by falling gas prices, but food prices surged 11.4% from last year, compounding on last month's 10.9% leap to the fastest annual pace since April of 1979. Core prices, which strip out the more volatile measurements of food and energy, climbed 6.3% from the previous year, above the 6.1% forecast from economists. Core prices also rose more than expected on a monthly basis, jumping 0.6% in August, a bigger increase than in April, May, June, and July, and a troubling sign that underlying inflationary pressures in the economy remain strong. As if Chicago's crime rate wasn't high enough, Illinois is set to eliminate cash bail beginning in 2023, becoming the first state in the country to do so, and potentially allowing the release of violent offenders until they stand trial. The so-called Safety Act will also affect who can be arrested and expand eligibility for criminals vying for probation. Offenses made non-detainable by the legislation include second-degree murder and drug-induced homicides. While Illinois is the first state to eliminate cash bail, we have seen the effects this will have in liberal cities like New York City and San Francisco, where crime has skyrocketed and violent offenders are released and paroled. Illinois State Representative Patrick Windhorst, who voted against the measure, stated that some Democrats regret voting in favor of the bill already. I know several people who voted for it have had second thoughts and realized just what exactly this bill is going to do, Windhorst stated. This was one provision in an over 700-page bill that passed in the waning hours of the last General Assembly, was really pushed through in the last few hours. So a lot of people who voted for it didn't realize what was in it. Project Veritas exposed the bias in the Connecticut school system as they exposed the actions of Jeremy Boland. Boland, who serves as Cos Cob Elementary School's assistant principal, was recorded bragging about how he oversees the hiring of teachers who will disseminate progressive political ideas in the classroom. Boland was caught on video explaining how he would never hire Catholic teachers because they're too conservative. The elementary school administrator goes on to say that he discriminates against older individuals as well. I need younger teachers. So because Greenwich pays very well, you get teachers from other districts who have been there for a long time that want to come to Greenwich. But if they're older, I'm not allowed to do that. I can't tell them I'm not interviewing you because you're older. I just don't interview them. So for one position, I think we had 30 applicants. So out of all those applicants, I don't think I interviewed anybody over the age of 30. Because sometimes the older you get, the more set in your ways, the more conservative you get. After the video was released, Boland was suspended from his position. Democrats have high hopes for the Senate, but that could all prove a bust, according to a New York Times polling guru. Democratic Senate candidates are outrunning expectations in the same places where the polls overestimated President Biden in 2020 and Mrs. Clinton in 2016, says Nate Cohn. Areas where Democrats are posting the best poll numbers are areas where in 2016 and 2020, pollsters overestimated Democratic wins. The least impressive poll numbers for Democrats this round are areas that pollsters more correctly predicted in 2016 and 2020. Quote, it raises the possibility that the apparent Democrat strength in Wisconsin and elsewhere is a mirage, an artifact of persistent and unaddressed biases in survey research, Cohn writes. Pollsters have admitted to not changing their methodology since 2016, methodologies that have consistently undercounted Republicans. The Washington Post editorial board directly criticized the campaign of Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania and Senate candidate John Fetterman, demanding he actually attend a public debate. Mr. Fetterman has seemingly been reluctant to commit to firm debate dates, and that troubling stance has raised questions about whether he, still recovering from a serious stroke, is fit to serve in the Senate, the Post's editorial board explained. Fetterman has stated that he only wants to debate once after early voting in the state is well underway. While the Post was sympathetic to Fetterman's recent stroke, they correctly point out that the voters need to see for themselves if he is capable of doing the job before voting starts. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms where freedom of speech is respected. We'll see you next time.